Welcome to a very special episode of the Comic Book Wars podcast. I'm joined today live by internet scooper extraordinaire. I want to apologize now that we are connecting with Mikey via telephone. So I hope that you're able to hear him. Mikey, would you introduce yourself to our live audience?
Well, thank you for bringing me aboard the show, George. It was a great pleasure of mine to be here tonight and talk to you and to all your viewers there.
Okay, I'm hoping they'll let us know in the live chat how the audio goes.
Okay.
For those who are unfamiliar, Mikey is a force to be reckoned with in the comic community. He was the first to report regarding the Marvel deal. If you recall, the initial deal was reported as being broken. Mikey, could you describe how that all transpired?
Yeah, it's just because I wasn't a scooper or anything. One of my clients heard from one of his clients. But hey, I know you like comic book movies and everything. Did you know that Sony and Disney are making a deal to have Spider-Man in the MCU? And I'm like, oh really? And he goes, yeah. And so he told me what was about to happen. They were in discussions to bring Spider-Man to the MCU, and Marvel Studios would produce a Spider-Man movie. So I kind of had no idea what to do with it. My Facebook at the time was pretty small. I think I had about maybe less than 1,000 friends on Facebook. And most of them were not even into comic books. So it was like, well, I guess the story of the year, I don't know what to do with it. I wasn't even contributing for comicbookmovie.com back then. So, you're armed with all this information and you had no place to go. But one of my friends was Pete DeLuca from Pete's YouTube show since the beginning of their program. And I knew he was a huge Spider-Man fan. And I said, hey, I got this scoop. I've never done this before, but do you want this? Do you want to break the story? And the story was, Spider-Man being in the MCU. And he goes, hell yeah. I told him what I knew, that they were in discussions of bringing Spider-Man to the MCU. He went on Pete's basement and he got the news out. And at the time, no one knew who I was. So the news got out on my Facebook. It got out on his show. I mean, again, when you have, obscure sources putting this information out, people feel they're not trustworthy. And, I completely understand that. I wasn't trying to get any attention for it. I just thought it was cool, Oh, yeah, I wanted to see Spider-Man with the Avengers. And it didn't get any traction until, months later when the Sony emails came out. And then there was some talk of that happening in there. I was already scooping that Spider-Man was going to make his debut in Civil War. And my Facebook was starting to pick up at the time, especially when I scooped that Black Panther was going to be making a debut in there. But again, it was a very small audience. I had no place to take it to, except for Pete's basement. They continually supported, whatever I gave them. And Tina got an even bigger story. And that was Disney and Fox were working on a deal similar to the Sony deal, where they would have the opportunity to use the X-Men in an Avengers film. That got a little bit more traction because people remembered me for my Spider-Man scoop. And again, Pete's Basement came out with that story as well. We called it Foxville at the time. There are naysayers that are saying, "Oh, this is not going to happen." You know, the two aren't even talking, and I stayed with my story. I said, "No, that deal." Regardless of what they say in public, because in public, Kevin Feige was saying that we haven't spoken to Fox and all the usual denials. And as the years went by, I would bring up that and people would be like, "Yeah, it was all bogus because look, I mean, it's years later and nothing is happening." And I said, "Yeah, but something is happening because all of a sudden Fox and Marvel were working together on those X-Men TV shows, like the it wasn't the big, huge deal that I had scooped back in 2015, but you can tell it was leading towards that direction. And then, I can't remember what year it was, but I mentioned that Disney was planning on buying Fox. And I said, you know what, they went back and forth on working together, but now it looks like Disney is going to buy Fox. I put out that story. The usual suspects picked it up. Pete Basement picked it up, but again, it got no traction whatsoever. I'm just like some obscure guy in Seattle, right? I'm not a part of comicbook.com or one of the big scoopers out there. A few months later, it was announced that Disney was buying Fox. And I just started doing it for fun.
Yeah, so we talked a little bit before the podcast, and I asked you whether or not you collected comics.
Yeah.
You're not a Hollywood guy.
No.
You're a comic guy.
Let me tell you my story. In 1978, I was watching this TV show called Special Edition that was had Barbara Feldon from Get Smart as the host. And she got Stan Lee on there. And the footage from the old Spider-Man cartoon, which I'd never seen before. Some animated shots of the Hulk. And they had images from Marvel Comics. They had what really struck me, Shang-Chi, I'm like, wow, as an Asian superhero, I'm half Asian. So it just blew me away. Like, what is this stuff? I mean, it's like a totally new world to me. I had the privilege of seeing Star Wars on opening day the year before. A few cities that had Star Wars on opening day in Sacramento had Star Wars on opening day at the Century Theater. Unforgettable experience. And the comic book sites they showed on this show reminded me of Star Wars. Wow, this is like Star Wars to me. And so I asked my brother-in-law at the time, I said, "Do you know anything about comic books?" He goes, yeah, I love them. So the next day he took me to, I think it was Toys R Us, and he bought me a book called The Origins of Marvel Comics. And in that issue, in that book, had the first issues of the Fantastic Four, had Amazing Fantasy 15, Silver Surfer in there, had the first print of Doctor Strange, all these reprints, and immediately I had Marvel 101 on my first day. like I knew the Hulk's origin already on my first day of reading Marvel Comics. And I was introduced to Jack Kirby, Stan Lee, John Romita Jr., John Romita Sr., all these great artists. It's a mind-blowing experience. And then I went my own, Shang-Chi, Master Kung Fu was one of them. There's a Peter Parker with Daredevil that was drawn by Frank Miller. So I decided back in '78, I was like 10 years old, that I wanted to be a comic book collector. And I had about the values of comic books back then. I just bought them because they were just, it just blew my imagination. That was the main reason. I just really got into the characters. And to me, getting into comic books during the Bronze Age was the golden age for me. I mean, it was, because you had, like, if you went and bought comic book in '78, the artists that you would see on the stands were like Frank Miller, Mike Grell, Michael Golden, Jack Kirby was still drawing for Marvel, Big Machine Man, I think. Steve Ditko. I mean, these incredible artists and writers back then. And immediately I got into the comic book collecting world, and we're looking at 42 years now of comic book collecting. So it's been a long time.
Now, we talked again before the podcast. You'd mentioned that you had a job early working for a comic book magazine. Would you tell our listeners about that?
Yeah, when I was a kid, I used to love Amazing Heroes magazine. It was like one of my favorite magazines. And back in those days, before the internet, if you wanted to find out about what comic books are coming up, you had to read Amazing Heroes or the Comic Fighters Guide or Comic Scene, which is the coolest, with the music color. But there was no internet, so that any information you had, you would get the magazine. And Marvel, of course, had Marvel Age. So back in '89, I applied to write for Amazing Heroes, and I was hired. On my second or third try, and the first comic book I ever got, the first comic book review I got published in there, I'll never forget it, was Hellblazer number 27, which was written by Neil Gaiman. A story called Hold Me. And I was 21, 22 years old. Neil Gaiman, the next big thing. And sure enough, he did become the next big thing shortly thereafter.
Yeah, can we talk a little bit about the forthcoming Sandman Netflix project? Have you been hearing anything about that television series?
Well, the only thing I have heard lately, actually two things I've heard. Number one is that it's pretty faithful to the source. So if you're a big fan of the comic book, there's not going to be that many changes to the source. It won't be like, let's say, I enjoy the show Lucifer. I think it's one of my favorite shows, but it's somewhat different than the comic book.
A complete departure.
Yeah, exactly. And whereas this, though, is recognizably Sandman. And hearing that Martian Manhunter will appear in the show, because he was in the first couple of issues of Sandman as well. So if you're a fan of the comic book, I've been hearing really great things about what it's going to be.
Yeah, now you were kind enough to bring us some information last. Do you want to tell our listeners what you've been hearing?
Yeah, well, first thing is about the X-Men, the first X-Men film in the MCU. And it's in very early stages right now. There's no direct no script. But Marvel Studios like to plan ahead. They're always like dropping ideas. And, Kevin Feige's got his own vision of what he expects from these films. I mean, he loves these characters. He's a family, just like all of us. That's why the film is so successful, because he's really into the characters. So I'm hearing a few initial things about what they're going to do. And one of the first things I heard is that Magneto will not show up for a while. And I think the issue is that Fox really burned him out. They use Magneto so much in their films. And it made me think, has there been an X-Men film, like a team film, with Magneto not in it? Has there been one? I think he was in all of them, wasn't he?
It's been a long time in a lot of movies, but I certainly can't remember one. Although there's to forget.
Like barely any memory of Apocalypse. There may have been one without Magneto. I'm not sure what. But he was seeing any. But they don't want to use Magneto for a while. They feel he's a burned out character, and they really want to do something fresh for the X-Men. What they want to use in the first film is Omega Red.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of been in the rumor mill for a while, hasn't it? I mean, people have been anticipating him as a villain for a Wolverine solo film.
Yeah, been speculation in the past, but apparently it's been pretty serious. They are planning on using him.
I hope so. I've been stockpiling those books at like $10 a pop, to the point where I have about a short box. So we'll see. Now you get a lot of, for lack of a better description, from sources, right? Where people are like, I'm hearing this, it's not confirmed. Can we kind of talk about how you vet your information? In other words, take like a trusted source to give you a tip before you tease it out there? Do you sort of sprinkle some stuff to see if it gets confirmation? Like, what's your thought process behind that?
Yeah, basically, I don't usually run two sources confirming it. If I get one person telling me, I usually try to find somebody else who can also say the same thing. If I don't, I usually just keep it. I just hold on to it.
There's Mike Sutton, Woodward, and you're looking for a deep threat.
Exactly. And sometimes it backfires. There have been times where I held on to it and it comes out, and I'm like, oh man, I could have, announced that before, but I was afraid to, because you come out with something and people will expect it, and you don't want to get burned that way. And so I always tell people scoopers are only as good as their sources, because I'm not there. I'm not there in these meetings and these scoopers. What they tell me.
Yeah, fuck, they're only as good as their last win. I mean, it's a thankless job, let's be honest.
It is. And also things change. I mean, because a couple of years ago, when I wasn't scooping, I had a secret group I was telling people this information to.
Are you going to share that group with us now, since they're not that secret?
No, they're still secret.
Oh.
The one I have now is not secret, it's public. The Gigosity page, that's definitely public now.
How do you spell that?
Gosity, Gigosity.
Okay. And that's on what platform?
And on Facebook.
Okay.
And back in 2015, when I started my secret group, the other Defenders, the Netflix Defenders, were being considered for the Infinity War. And obviously it didn't happen. And I only had one source at the time confirming that. And if I had gone publicly, it's bogus. I mean, Defenders weren't in there. But years later, the Russo brothers said they considered using the Defenders for Infinity War, so that intel was correct. But things changed, In the writing of the script and the planning, they just threw the idea out the window, and it happens all the time. So, scripting is not an exact science. I mean, especially with Marvel Studios, these guys are on top of it, and they're always refining and changing things to make it the best product possible. Yeah,
who's the kid that plays Spider-Man? What's his name?
Tom Holland.
Tom Holland? Yeah, I feel like they trust him with nothing.
They don't.
Poor kid. I want to talk about a movie that's gotten a lot of shakeup recently,
Yeah.
Doctor Strange in the Multiverse
Yeah.
of Madness. Now, I'm
Yeah.
hearing from some very reliable sources that I can expect film, that I can expect
Yeah.
America Chavez in this film. Are you hearing the same things?
Yes, in fact, I scooped Brother Voodoo twice. I scooped it secretly a few years ago, then publicly over the summer. He's definitely in Multiverse of Madness. He's in there.
And do you expect Clea?
I do still expect her to be in there as well.
As far as the villain goes, are we looking for Nightmare or Mephisto, or how do you think that's going to pan out?
It's Nightmare. All roads lead to Nightmare.
So we cannot expect a Mephisto, or you think Mephisto will be in the Scarlet Witch television series?
Mephisto is coming. But I don't think they're going to, because obviously with Derrickson gone, they're going to make some changes that he was not happy with in his film.
Yeah, I mean, I just sort of assumed that film with the exit of the director, and I'm not so confident that there won't be plot shakeups. What kind of shakeups are expecting, or do you think that was more an issue of tenor and tone, or actual, like changes to the plot, storyline, and substance of the films?
Yeah, from what I heard, what really went wrong there. Derrickson wanted more of a standalone horror film, whereas Feige needed to push the Marvel Cinematic Universe forward. So the film became more of, I want to say a prologue, but bridge to the next chapters in the MCU. In the same way that Civil War was. Whereas Derrickson wanted more of a straight-ahead horror film that's not going to have any plot elements. And that's really where the issue was. He wanted more of a straight-up H.P. Lovecraft, meets Steve Ditko type of horror film. Whereas, Feige wanted to there and just kind of like, had the film be a bridge to the future, and I think that's where they started having issues.
Well, who are these mutants you speak of? Are you part of this group of people that believe that we're going to have a Illuminati plot with Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness? I mean,
that was you scooped that. So.
Yeah, I find that to be absolutely fucking ridiculous. Not that it won't happen, just that I can't see it happening. But Lord knows what the hell.
It's not going to be like an integral part of the film. From what I've been hearing, they're going to be introduced in the movie at the end, or maybe even in the post-credit. It won't be like a part of the plot element or anything like that.
Oh, so like a post-credit scene where heavy thinkers getting together?
Yeah. So somewhere along those lines, yes.
And again, is that like you think an effort to try to move towards Secret Wars or Galactus?
Yes. It's definitely a step towards Secret Wars, because I everything they're going to do in the next couple of movies is going to plant more seeds into what will be inevitable, and that's the whole. I hate saying the Marvel method, but that's really what it is. I mean, they have a way of doing things, call it formula or whatever, but hey, it works. It worked for Endgame, and it's going to work again now.
Amen. So I'd kind of like to talk about Phase 4 generally. I mean, there's a heck of a slate of films and television series to look forward to. One of the ones that everybody has been chirping about lately is the Hawkeye television series. People are suggesting that there is trouble in casting land, and that our Kate Bishop matriarch may be put on hold as a result of obligations she has with other films. Other people are suggesting that they may be pushing the series down the road. Are you hearing anything specifically about that television series, or?
No, I mean, I know there were some rumors that were debunked by, I think it was The Verge that debunked the rumors of it being canceled a few weeks ago. In terms of the Apple TV, casting crisis, or whatever you want to call it, I think she will still land the role of Kate Bishop. I don't think that's going to be too much of an issue.
Nice. Now, one of the other films we've heard a lot of discussion about is, or one of the other projects, I guess I should say, we've heard a lot of discussion about is Thor: Love and Thunder, insofar as Christian Bale, has basically been meeting with Kevin Feige and others at Marvel Studios. Initially, there were reports that he was going to be, it's been all over the map, and at least the substantiated kind of like info that I've heard is that there wasn't any sort of like real commitment to a character before they met. Have you heard any follow-up information about that?
Yeah, the interesting part about Marvel Studios' casting process is that when an actor comes in for a casting, he or she usually does not know who they're auditioning for. And it's to avoid leaks.
Yeah, so, some people are talking, because they suggested that it would be a CGI character that, we've got Minotaur, the God Butcher character, Beta Ray Bill. Other people are talking about Mephisto. Again, that poor guy shows up everywhere. And I don't know, whether or not there's any validity to any of those characters or not. I'm in a kind of a unique perspective where it's sort of like, as a guy who buys and sells comics, I just kind of like have to do a real good job of knowing what to sell it when and what to buy when. And it makes it difficult. You don't sell comics, do you?
No.
But you do buy comics.
I had experience selling comics like in the early 90s. I just started from out of time.
Suffice to say, if you're a buyer of books, any particular characters you're interested in? I mean, we saw what happened with the Red Guardian when an A-list celebrity was cast. I mean, his books went through the roof. Obviously, whoever Christian Bale would play in a Marvel film, their books would skyrocket. I mean, immediately. Any sort of substantiated information about that? Any other characters you're hearing tidbits about?
From what I heard from multiple sources, that it will be a CGI character, and the really important is that I'm hearing from so many for years now. I've been hearing this that Beta Ray Bill is going to be in the film. It would make perfect sense for Bale to play him, to do his voice acting. I think he'd be perfect for it. Also, it gives a character like Beta Ray Bill the general public knows nothing about. Like, only a fan knows who he is, really. It'll just give some gravitas to have an actor of his caliber doing his voice. And if I was to speculate on a character for that film, Beta Ray Bill. I know the prices are probably skyrocketing right now, but I think once that character shows up in a trailer, whether it's Christian Bale or not, that book is going to explode. And that character here's the funny part. I bought Thor 337 when it came out back in 83. Because I was a huge Walt Simonson fan. So being able to see that character in the big screen is like a dream for me. I'm really excited about Beta Ray Bill. But to me, that book, because of its age, is going to be worth more than anything that came out in the last 10 years or so, in terms of like a first appearance.
We should talk privately. I think I could help you with your comic book buying and selling.
Okay.
For the record, yeah, it's a pretty common book, honest to God.
Yeah, it is, yeah.
It's a pretty common book, but one that I stockpile. That being said, like, I pay about $40 for really high grade copies, like 9.6s, 9.8s raw, and generally otherwise leave them behind. I may be spoiled because of where I live. There are a ton of comic books around here, but another conversation for another time. Let me ask you about the Shang-Chi film. Obviously, everybody's excited that the Mandarin's coming. We've heard a ton of different rumors about specific characters that are going to pop up there. Some female characters specifically that I talked about in the weekend update. Are there any characters that you're anticipating to be showing up in that film? And you think he'll be a post-credit character, or he'll be the final boss? And that leaves the Mandarin around, or
in the final third of the film, and in the final act of the film, is what I've been hearing. I've been hearing that for a while now, and I heard it from one source a couple of months ago about things kind of booming. I was like, really? But he's got a connection to the Mandarin. But I was like, wow. I mean, that takes that movie beyond the whole martial arts realm, and I think that's what excites them about that character. That you're going in there expecting, like a kung fu film. The most Kung Fu comes out, like, what the hell,
Nice.
And I think that us, being comic book fans, even those who are not in the know scoop wise, we'll be familiar with the character. Like, wow, I think that with the general public, like, what the hell?
It'll be impressive to us, but I couldn't agree more. Yeah, it'll be real impressive to other people.
I'll be blown away. Like, you put a dragon in here.
What do you think about Michelle Yeoh? Is she going to join the cast? And if so, who do you think she'll be? Philo Sui or Nico Wu or some other character?
Some other character. I got a feeling she's tied somehow with the Mandarin.
Okay.
And what a great actress to put in there too. I mean, she's just absolutely wonderful.
Now, have you heard that she's going to be in the film?
Yes, I have heard.
Okay. And you don't think she'll be? I mean, Shang-Chi's sister is Phalo Sui, if I'm saying that correct.
Yeah, his sister is in the film. That information.
And that would in fact be the Mandarin's daughter, right? Because you with me? So I mean, Nico Wu is the MI6 agent who we sort of anticipate is going to be in the film as well. So you think Michelle Yeoh is going to play Philo Sui, the sister?
Maybe. I mean, I'm not sure if they're going to make her younger or older is the only thing I'm not aware of.
Okay. What are you hearing about Thunderbolts?
Okay, that's a very interesting project there because initially, I think about 2012, I believe it was, before they announced the Marvel's Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. show, Thunderbolts was going to be an ABC show. It was part of Jeff Loeb's plan of Marvel shows that he wanted to do. It was Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D., Thunderbolts, he wanted to do Iron Fist, before the whole Netflix deal came out. Cloak and Dagger was one of them. That ended up being 3 for him. I am hearing Thunderbolts will be on Disney Plus. It'll be a limited series on Disney Plus.
That'll roll out of the Black Widow and Falcon and the Winter Soldier. And
Yes. It'll have its roots in there, and then be a Disney Plus limited series. Is what I'm hearing.
You hearing anything about like who's going to be on the cast? I mean, obviously you'll have a Red Hulk, right?
Red Hulk, yeah, but beyond that, I'm not sure.
Well, people are talking a lot about Ursa Major.
Yeah.
Potentially popping up in the Black Widow film or in the Shang-Chi film. There have been some suggestions that Oliver Richter's the Dutch Giant is going to be playing that character. Others have suggested that he'll be playing Black Jack. And then somebody said he's going to play Colossus. I find that hard to believe.
No, I don't think so.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I don't have any strong opinions one way or the other. But those are the names that I've heard floated around for that particular character. The other thing I heard recently was that we can expect a couple different seasons of the Loki television series. And for me, at least, it seems hard to accomplish that without utilizing Kid Loki. I just don't see...
Yeah, they're going to have to. I mean, if they're going to have multiple seasons of Loki, then you're going to have something on that Kid Loki in there. But from what I'm hearing, they're going to take a wait-and-see approach and to see how well received this is. Because I haven't been hearing that many long-term plans about Loki at all.
Yeah. Well, do you anticipate that we'll see a Kid Loki character and or an Agents of Asgard sort of flavor to the Loki television series, or is it hard to tell one way or the other?
It's really hard to tell, but I'm pretty confident we're going to see Kid Loki in the show.
Add that to the long list of books that I have a stack of: the Beta Ray Bills, the Kid Lokis. Your little buddy George has been doing a halfway decent job of stockpiling these books. Yeah, my problem is I say that I sell books and then I just end up sitting on them until they're not worth anything, and people have moved on to the next shiny object. Let's talk about something that I'm personally excited about, which is Blade.
Yes.
I don't see any way they make a Blade movie without Dracula.
Yeah, in fact, he is going to be the villain, and I scooped that back during the summer. That Dracula will be the villain of that film.
Well, I'm glad. I'm glad that we agree. I mean, who else would you use? Right? I mean, it seemed like a no-brainer to me. I didn't have some sort of inside information. I was just like, well, this is pretty simple.
Well, because the whole Blade announcement caught everybody off guard, because at the time, it was supposed to be for Hulu. It was one of those Hulu horror shows they were planning. I mean, they didn't announce it, but I got wind of it, like, hey, they're going to do Blade. I'm like, oh, is this the daughter of Blade that they were going to do in Marvel Comics? She never came out. And all of a sudden, that actor wanted to play Blade so badly. I mean, two-time Oscar winner. Of course, you're not going to say no to him. So that decision was really last minute. It was,
Anybody talking about Elsa Bloodstone to you?
Not that I know of.
Interesting. How about Blue Marvel?
Not that I know of. I haven't heard. There is a character they're talking about, but I can't say it on the air yet.
All right. Anybody I've heard of?
Yes. No, you know this character. You probably have this character's first appearance.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better. I hope I got a stack of them. Let's talk about...
This character has been speculated quite a bit, so you probably have a stack there or a box.
That's the kind of stuff that makes me happy. I like when you talk dirty to me.
But in this character, I'll give you a hint. This character came out in the last 15 years.
Oh, is this the Gwen or Spider-Gwen news?
No, I haven't announced this yet.
Oh.
So,
Were you on Spider-Gwen? Is that you that was talking about that?
Yeah, that was me. Yeah, that was me.
All right. Yeah, there we go. I'm pretty excited if that's the case. I'm looking forward to seeing what Sony does with the Spider-Verse generally. It's hard for me to kind of gauge what that's going to look like over the long haul. There are so many different options for characters, and I wish I had some idea of like an end game for what those like a vision for what that might look like 5 years down the road. Is there any information that you have about what we may be able to expect out of the Sony Spider-Verse?
Before I do that, let me give you a hint on my character.
All right.
Just don't see the character's name, but I'm pretty sure once I give you this hint, you'll know who it is.
Okay.
Without looking it up, I'm pretty sure the creator or the co-creator of this character, which came out in the last, I would say, 15 years. I don't have the information in front of me. But this character was either co-created or created by Brian Michael Bendis. That's all I will say.
All right.
I'm pretty sure the light bulb is going off in your head. You know who this is.
Yeah, sounds great. So let's talk about the Sony Spider-Verse.
Yeah, exactly. Sony wants to do a live action Into the Spider-Verse. I mean, it's something that they've been dreaming about, and Marvel Studios wants to do it as well. So if there is an end game, that's exactly what it's going to be. I mean, everybody's talking about the Sinister Six. The Sinister Six will happen, but I don't think it'll happen as a Sony film. Obviously, the team is already forming as we speak in Marvel Studios Spider-Man movies. Shadow Vulture, the Scorpion. These characters are already, getting, they're not together, but they're already being introduced. In the same way that Marvel introduced the Avengers. They would show up in one film, all of a sudden, they get together in the Avengers. And it follows the same formula. And that's the reason why I don't think Sony is going to do a Sinister Six film. What's going to happen, these characters are being put together by Marvel Studios to fight Spider-Man in an MCU film. That's where that is going.
Is Norman Osborn the benefactor?
That I do not know.
For those who are not familiar, would you explain who the benefactor character is?
Well, actually, why don't you explain? Because I have to get some information for a bit. So can you just hold on?
Sure.
So go ahead.
Yeah, so that character kind of originated as an unnamed benefactor in the Ant-Man and Wasp film, who's dropped $1 billion, and there's been rampant speculation that it's Norman Osborn, that it's Victor Von Doom, and for a minute before the Marvel Sony deal disintegrated, and Giancarlo Esposito of Breaking Bad and now Mandalorian fame was heavily speculated as that Norman Osborn character. I don't know if he was walking onto Marvel Studios or Disney's soundstage to do like reshoots for The Mandalorian, or if he was actually interviewing about a potential MCU or Marvel appearance or not. But after the initial breakup before the makeup of Marvel and Sony, all of the talk of Norman Osborn went by the wayside. now that it appears that Sony and Marvel have learned to play nice together with the like photo bomb of Spider-Man in the Morbius trailer, people have started to pay more attention to that. Others believe that Marvel is far more likely to try to introduce Doctor Doom in that role than they are a Sony character like Norman Osborn. I don't know how that's necessarily all going to shake out, but it's certainly interesting.
Okay, I have the information I wanted to relay to you. But let me start with Norman Osborn before I get into this part. There has been so much speculation about Norman Osborn being the big bad of the MCU. And even before I talked to my sources about this, I had nagging doubts about that happening. And the main reason why, you said it yourself, Osborn is a Sony IP. And for them to have Osborn be the big bad, they would need like a long-term, rock-solid agreement with Sony. Because whoever the big bad is going to be, they're going to be dropping seeds leading up to that character for a large film. And they're not going to do that with Osborn. I mean, they have a deal to use Spider-Man. And in the future, they will be using other Sony characters on a case-by-case basis. But I sincerely doubt they would give Osborn that huge of a spotlight, considering they don't own the character. So whoever the benefactor is, hey, they could make a deal for Osborn. I can't actually, toss that possibility away. But I'm doubting that Osborn is going to put the Dark Avengers together because Marvel Studios doesn't own them. And that's why I've always had issues with the whole Dark Avengers thing. I don't think there'll be a Dark Avengers film. I think there's just too much dealing with Sony for a project that big to get made. For any Dark Avengers fans out there, if there is a Dark Avengers, I think they would tweak it and not put Osborn at the head of it. And quite honestly, to go from, Norman Osborn is a great villain, but to go from Thanos to Norman Osborn, I'm just not seeing it, Especially to the general public who doesn't know these characters. They're going to be like, you go from Thanos to this guy? It doesn't make sense. But the information I wanted to relay to you that unrelated to this was that the X-Men animated series is going to play, I want to say, a huge role, but it's going to be somewhat of a role in influencing the X-Men films in the MCU. I don't know how much of it, like in terms of the costumes or whatever, but apparently that cartoon is an iconic part of the fans' memories of the characters, and it was very well received for a cartoon and quite faithful to the comic book. So you might see elements of the animated series in the live action films they're going to do. And I do know they're going to have a Savage Land X-Men film, so Sauron is coming as well.
Let me ask you this. Have you heard anything about the DC side of things?
I tell you, scooping DC is so difficult because, my God, it's chaotic, Marvel makes changes for the better. DC changes because they don't have a clue.
Talk to us about Justice League Dark.
recent development, J.J. Abrams.
You read the deadlines. You read the deadline story, obviously, right?
Yeah. And I heard that project was just like going back and forth. I mean, Guillermo del Toro was originally attached to that project.
You wrote a fucking screenplay.
Yeah, he did.
And that's a lot of work.
Yeah, they said it was too weird. And of course, he wins an Oscar like a year or two later. I mean, like, how can you not? Those things boggle the mind. Like, you're struggling creatively. You have this genius on the most perfect project, and you turn it down. And like, how is that possible? You know. See, and in fact, I heard the original story, the original title of Del Toro's script was called Heaven Sent. I love the irony of that. And I'm like, it's brilliant. You know, it's so clever. Heaven Sent, you know, and you know, these dark characters there. And,
we lost 47 live viewers. They're all running to eBay to sell their Dark Avengers Norman Osborn books. They just all dropped off. It was... I got to get you to talk about things that you think are going to happen. That way people buy books instead of selling.
There you go.
Wait. I don't know that would be really professional. Sorry. Different podcast. That's not us.
Should I segue into Dead Man?
Yeah. Well, people were hot and bothered about Strange Adventures. I literally stopped paying attention. So do you know what the fuck's going to go on with that TV show?
Oh, God. I mean, I really don't know much about that either. I do know that they want to do Dead Man for HBO Max. And to me, that's a good character to stack on. The fact that
it's a tough book.
Huh?
It's a tough book. His first appearance in high grade, that's a big book.
That's a big book, yeah. And it'll get even bigger because if they use them, then I'm pretty sure they will. If they use it for the JL Dark film, and then they have the HBO Max, that there is some discussions. I think that book will only get bigger. I think that's just an awesome, cool character.
Well, it's always been an undervalued book, among hardcore collectors who were fans of the character. And this year it finally started to get a little bit of respect. But the market's pretty soft until tax returns start rolling in. So, now's pretty much the time to buy anything, and you can do okay in 6 months. Let me ask you this. I've got a request from the live chat for you to discuss a little bit about who's who in the Spider-Verse. We talked a lot, at least in my circle of collectors, about characters like Silk and obviously Spider-Gwen, but Jessica Drews and all of the different iterations of Spider-Woman, Spider-Girl, Arena, you name it. And then that doesn't begin to talk about, the number of different people that are suggesting we're going to get some sort of like clone storyline, or you name it. If it's happened, people are like, well, it's going to happen again. That's Sony's a one-trick pony. They've got nothing but content. We'll eventually see a Black Cat, Silver Sable. We'll eventually see Kraven. He's going to be the villain of this film. Or what sort of stuff are you hearing these days?
Well, I am hearing that Kraven is indeed coming, and so is the Chameleon. Like, those are the villains that keep coming up in my conversation with people.
Now, if I had a professional crew, I'd get them to play like a loop for come Chameleon.
There you go.
Yeah.
There you go. How perfect would that be, right?
Yeah, you're the only guy that laughed. We lost more live viewers. They're all dropping off for my singing.
They don't know the song.
I am showing my age. That's a good point. Culture Club, what's up?
Like, what year was that? 84, 83? No, 84, right? 83. That's kind of favorite film came out too. That song came out. So there you go.
So tell me, you think we're going to definitely see those villains,
Yes.
and you think they'll just be in the next Spider-Man film, or the next, or like Venom 3, or where do you think we're going to see them?
So I think in the next Spider-Man film, you're going to see Kraven and the Chameleon. I think those two will show up.
Boy, it does sound like the Sinister Six. Who's the character? Is that Doc Ock that appears in Morbius, or is that just people?
No, it's
people
not.
just.
I think the actor debunked it as well.
Speculating. Okay.
Yeah, from what I was told that Feige wanted to hold off on Dr. Octopus. He really doesn't want to repeat what Sony did. And especially, he feels that Spider-Man 2 is like one of the best superhero films ever, and they used Doc Ock really well in there. And that's partially the reason that he better use villains that we haven't seen before. I think freshness is really a big element there. Because, Sony gets complaints about repeating the same thing over and over again.
What can we expect out of the Venomverse? How long's Tom Holland going to hold on?
Well, I'm hearing that Tom Holland will make a cameo in the next one. And I know, he shot one for the first one that wasn't included in the film. The relationship between Marvel and Sony is better now. I think they have a clear understanding of what they want to do. And there's all these rumors of Kevin Feige eventually writing, Spidey out of the MCU. That's not true at all. They're going to keep using him. Those two companies see each other. And obviously, Sony is, making hints at the MCU in the Morbius trailer. And you're going to see more collaborations between the two companies. But Feige is going to have, the upper hand in the decision making in the future, because Sony wanted to do a Kraven the Hunter movie. Like, you really want to see a Kraven the Hunter solo film? I mean, he's a cool character against Spider-Man, but
no one wants to see that. Nobody wants to see that at all. That sounds terrible. I was thinking.
It just sounds awful.
Yeah, it's like if Rambo First Blood wasn't any good. Like, actually, we're gonna make this about a guy who wears leopards, and he's not really a veteran. He's just one of those people that you intuitively dislike for his hunting practices because he tries to kill endangered species. Sounds like a terrible movie.
Yeah, I can't see the general public being too excited about a film like that,
No. Oh my God, it sounds horrible. My friend, I really appreciate you being here with us. I've held you hostage for about 2 hours now. But before we go, what I want to make sure to do is let people know where they can find you. So you're constantly providing insight and tips for the Lords of the Long Box. They're on Wednesday. I had TiVo on here, super nice guy. They're on Wednesday at 10, I think, 9?
It's at 6 p.m. Eastern, Pacific time, so that'll be 9 o'clock Eastern time.
Okay. And then there's a place called Pete's Basement that you're a contributor to regularly, correct?
Yeah, Pete's Basement, they've been with me since 2014 with the Spider-Man deal.
Okay, and how do we find them? They're on YouTube as well?
They're on YouTube, yeah. Just look up Pete's Basement on YouTube, and then there's The Cosmic Wonder, 3 Buck Theater, and Everything Always. Those YouTube sites use my information quite frequently. It's like I'm collaborating with all of them on new scoops coming up.
Mikey, I feel like you get around.
I know, right? Like I said, when this thing happened, it was completely unexpected, and I'm just glad that I made so many people happy at the time, because there was so much rage baiting going around about Spider-Man. Like, oh, the door is closed. He's not going to show up again in the MCU. And I'm like, no, that's not true whatsoever. You know?
Well, my
it's
friend,
interesting how I ended up being the lone voice in the wilderness for that.
well, we really appreciate it. I'm going to let our live viewers go. Thank you all for tuning in with the notorious Mikey Sutton, our friend. Have a good one, gentlemen.
And before I go, just one more thing.
Oh, please.
I am planning on launching a YouTube show myself, but I won't be on it. It's being hosted by a Filipina actress, hosting Julia Clarete. It's very popular in the Philippines, and it has nothing to do with comics. It's an 80s show. But I just wanted to bring
Did you send me a picture of her in a silver dress?
Yeah.
Then everybody.
That is an actress named Kate Valdez.
Okay, I lied. How about a black dress? She doesn't look Asian. Nope, I don't think I. Yeah, I don't. Okay.
Kate Valdez is an actress that I'm trying to get her cast as Wave in the MCU. Wave is a Filipino superhero in the MCU, and I think she's a perfect actress to play her. But they haven't announced any plans yet for the MCU for Wave. But you know that Agents of Atlas are coming.
I would actually be shocked for the Agents of Atlas to be on the big screen. But again,
Thank you so much, though. I mean, I really enjoyed this talk.
Oh, dude, my friend, it was a lot of fun. And for the record, you get me her info. We'll start a petition to try to get her cast as Wave and put in
yeah.
Awesome. Oh yeah, well, yeah, we can definitely do that. All right, guys, thank you so much.
All right, take care, man. Thanks. Bye-bye.